U.S. Census Bureau data shows about a third of Americans are experiencing symptoms of anxiety or depression amid the COVID-19 pandemic. A new membership based therapy startup for women called Real is helping address those mental health needs. But first, they had to pivot when their own launch plans were set back by COVID-19.
Days into New York's stay-at-home order, Real founder Ariella Safira was confronted with an unprecedented challenge.
2 days into quarantine, it was end of March when we realized this studio is not going to open as planned. And even more than that, mental health needs are going to skyrocket with all of this isolation and all of this fear of the virus. And so we need to put something up now, right? We need to build something now.
That sense of urgency propelled her team to launch a month-long free digital offering called Real to the People.
We have salons for sex and intimacy and managing being single in isolation, for juggling parenthood and working from home in quarantine. Really, the goal is to speak the language of people today and meet them where they're at and provide a therapy in a format they understand. Otherwise, they won't even engage in mental health care.
But within several weeks, the nation faced another crisis, the death of George Floyd that sparked demands for justice.
This is actually just after decades of police brutality and injustice to the Black community that there's an enormous need for mental health to be addressed.
In response, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Nina Vasan says Real is offering free group therapy for Black women in addition to separate sessions for allies.
So a lot of times people feel very lonely and isolated in these experiences. And so being able to actually have a group where everyone has collectively experienced that same sort of trauma and grief ends up being incredibly therapeutic.
It's all part of Real's mission to break down barriers in the current mental health care system.
One of the biggest problems with mental health care today is that people don't access it until they've reached crisis. And we haven't built an ecosystem in mental health care like we have for bodily care.
With a subscription model costing $30 a month, Real members will have access to therapist-led events and an annual mental health checkup.
Right, it sounds like you two have been in such a rhythm.
Along with one-on-one or group therapy sessions for additional fees.
Real is really a paradigm shift from therapy today. We don't operate like a therapy clinic. Instead, we operate as a community-driven membership model. We need to instill this notion that taking care of your mental health is an everyday experience, even when you're not engaged with one-on-one therapy, right? One-on-one therapy is a layer on top of that.
Safira says what she has learned in this pandemic era will undoubtedly impact the future of Real once its physical location opens its doors later this year.
The real end game is to ensure that mental health care becomes a part of our everyday, our self-care, our healthcare routine, and for it to be just as celebrated as your annual physical, as your gym membership. Really, we're building that world, and we'll see the mechanism it takes to get there.